Dangerous! Lipstick salon! All in our dista, I know they breaking the wall.
Hello, welcome to the first episode of the EUSL Slappycast. I'm your host, Crumpsy Poo, and I'm joined here with the EUSL legend, Rapid.
Hello.
And EUSL's best players, caster, analyst, Kutsu.
Hello, everybody. So the first topic that we want to speak about in this opening episode of the EUSL Slappycast is which teams we think are in contention for gold this season. So Crumps, what do you think?
Personally, after my experiences playing against all of the top teams, I think we're going to see enemy at the top through the season and through the playoffs. Without a doubt, I think the team's just utterly too strong. I think with the lack of Crisp showing up, I don't think we're going to be in contention this season, I'll be honest. I'm going to throw that out there. But I definitely think we'll see Bappo, Lalish, maybe Brunk show up. I don't know. That's my prediction.
Sort of speaking of Brunk as well, Rapid, do you think that Brunk are they washed, or can they recapture the form they had in Season 4?
To be honest, I think they're actually kind of washed compared to how they were in Season 4. For example, I played a couple of scrims with Golg and Kony yesterday, and the tempo they play and like the style of play they play, it doesn't really work anymore, and it's much slower than it was before.
Yeah, I think the way the game's transitioned, their old Brunk style isn't really going to fit into the modern game.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's a lot more aggressive and high pressing, and Kony's not in his original form as he used to be. Joinski's not played in a while, so I suspect that they're probably going to suffer a lot harder than we've seen them, develop from the past.
I agree. What about Lalish? There's some interest, obviously. Kira and Alo have joined Lalish. How much do you think that's going to impact them? Do you think?
To be fair, I think Beje has massively improved with Morby stepping down. I think Beje has really stepped up to the mark and started, showing everybody what he's made of. I've not seen much of Edwin recently, but I think having Alo in there might give them that little boost to push up. Hopefully, we'll see some Akua, but I don't know how his legs, how that problem is these days. But it'd be really good.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Beje, and he said, of Kira and Alo, he thinks that Alo's going to be the one who plays the most, so seems he's out of retirement again. Well, I suppose we can roll the interview now. I guess it's a good time to transition into that. So, here's the interview with Beje, everybody. So, hello Beje, how are you, mate?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Very well. How are you, Rapid, as well?
I'm fucking fantastic.
Good, you like to hear it. So, I mean, Beje, we assume just from looking at the roster that, you and Edwin are going to start most of the games. Who's going to be the third one, do you think, most regularly? Is it going to be Kua or Alo?
So the thing is, we had Crooked as our third guy for a long time when Morby quit. And then Crooked got some internet issues. And we already had Alo on the team then. And he was like, yeah, well, let me step up and play all these games. And then we were thinking, should we get the fourth player just in case? And Alo hit up Kua because they played together back in, I don't know which seasons, but some seasons ago, and he wanted to join. So I think the main lineup is going to be, as you said, me and Edwin, and then Alo as our third guy.
All right, that's interesting actually. So we are going to see some regular appearances from Alo, which we didn't expect.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, as you said in your mailbox earlier, we all thought he was gonna retire this season. He's been talking about retiring for a while, but he's talked to me, and we're like, yeah, well, I'm addicted to this game, so I guess I'll have to play this season again.
Don't blame him. I don't blame him. We're gonna let you in on a little secret here, in that one of your first in week 1. You're going to be playing, one of your games is against Netsticks and Chill.
Ooh.
A good look. I'd say that's the game of the week. What are your thoughts towards that game?
Nestix and Shield, that's Crumps,
Yeah,
if I can
Snog,
remember.
Latka.
Yeah. We have scrimmed them. They're a very strong team. I think that's going to be a really great game to watch and to play. But I don't know. This season I'm confident about most of the games. So yeah, it's going to be a fun game, and I think we're going to win.
Fair enough.
I'm just going to say it like that.
On the topic of sort of Allo being the one who's going to be starting for you regularly now, with Allo being sort of regarded as one of the best players in EU, do you feel any sort of like added pressure from playing with someone of that sort of prestige?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, we had him as a coach last season when we played entry, and he had always really good opinions and like strategies for us. Then he didn't coach us as much as maybe other coaches had, but what he did was really good. And then so we basically knew him from there, and it was a pretty easy like neutral transition to him joining. And I don't think me and Edwin have that much of like pressure on us, because we already feel like now we're playing pro league, so a lot of teams are gonna have pressure anyway. And why should we have a pressure just because we have like one of the best players of all time on the team? I mean, we're just gonna make the best of it, and hopefully we can all prosper.
But do you think Allo will be able to reach his old potential? Will he still be as good as he was back in season 3, season 4, season 5?
I can't tell because I wasn't around back then. So it's pretty hard for me. But yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got it in him. It's like I think it is when you learn to bicycle or something. You do it once, and then of course you're gonna be rusty at times. But when you are in it and are in the moment, I think he definitely is can be at his peak. Like, I don't know, really, as I said, but I haven't seen like any bad performances from him that I have thought of.
Trinity Force game 2 against Inferius.
Well.
Sure, Allo will have a lot to say about that. I like your bicycle analogy. You know, like with Slapshot, you take a break. You can be a bit rusty mechanically, but like within a few days, you can get the mechanics back, and you never sort of lose that raw ability really to be a good player.
No, I don't think so. And of course, when you play consistently Slapshot for a lot of hours, you're of course going to be better. And now, as Allo has a lot of work, he don't play as consistent, so maybe he won't. It may not be as easy for him to hit that peak level or whatever. But I still think, like, if we practice before the games and prepare ourselves, that we can definitely play really fucking good.
I mean, speaking of sort of, you mentioned last season how Allo was like your coach. I'd say like this season, it seems that you've sort of been thrown into the limelight a little bit in that you're one of the sort of star performers of entry, and like people are now expecting you to perform very well in the pro division as well. Does sort of the expectation that's come with last season give you confidence coming into next season?
Of course, it gives me. I can only talk for myself now, but I think I can talk for Edwin. We both have confidence that we are gonna do good in this season. And the thing I've learned is, because we started with 0 hours last season, we hadn't played anything, and we were like, yeah, whatever, let's just see how this goes. And the progression from how we started and how we ended was really good. So I feel like now, I don't know how long this season is gonna be, but at least like 1 or 2 months, no more, 2 months at least. So from now and 2 months forward, I can only see progression. I don't see like how we could get worse.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, Rapid, what do you think of that? Do you think that where would you think Lalish might finish this season?
Yeah, I was just about to ask Beje where he thinks that they will come, but I actually think they have a good chance of maybe finishing top 4 even. Because I wonder if Brunk still is able to be as good as they were before. I think they're a bit rusty, especially Golg and Joinski.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
so I definitely think Knowledge have quite a big chance of especially grabbing a medal.
the
But maybe they're
only
surprising even
yeah
more.
the thing that I'm thinking about right now is mainly we have had problems with two teams when we scrimmed, and the one of course being enemy, since they play really coordinated and very aggressive, and that's sort of how we play as well, but they do it better. And then we have had from time to time problem with Bappo as well, because they are such or Grand Bappo as they're called now, because they have such good chemistry as well, and they sync very good together. So those are the two teams that I'm as of now. It's going to be hard to beat, but um, like later in the season, I hope we can still manage to do well against them.
I mean, it's a big step up into Pro Division. Are you aiming? Are you not particularly expecting, but what like aiming and think it's realistic to go for gold?
Of course, we're all aiming to go for gold. Is it realistic as of now? Nah, I don't know. But as I said, I'm only thinking forward. So I'm gonna go for it as we did in entry. Didn't work out, but fuck it, man. We're gonna try this season again. New roster.
I wonder as well, how did you sort of find playoffs in entry division? Like, there's obviously added pressure with and nerves with playoffs. Did you experience that, like nerves or anything?
Oh yeah. First game you could tell so easily that we we felt the pressure. Playoffs was really fun. It was the most fun I've had in Slapshots actually, because it was so high stakes and everything you've done for the course of the season led up to it. But I'd say first game against Eggheads, we, if I remember correctly, we won the first game. Then we lost the second game, and as Crump said, we got too cocky. And I really don't know if we got too cocky or not in the second match. I just think we felt the nerves. So we learned from that. We won that game, and then we went into the QRT game, and I didn't have as much of nerves that game as we had the previous.
Mm.
Uh, and that helped out a lot because when I don't get nervous, I perform better. So we did good in that match, and then against underdogs, I feel like we had a pretty good, we had a pretty good. We weren't nervous at all, or of course we were a bit nervous, but we had a good start to that game, and then I think the first game kind of crushed us actually, because we were up like 7-3, and then they won 7-8. And we all was
Oh.
like, yeah, no problem, we're gonna win this. Take it easy, no problem. We just play on. But they kept scoring goals, and then they made the last goal in the like last 20 seconds, and it was over. So I feel like if we if we would have won that game, we probably would have won. But that game really crushed us. But yeah, as your question was, we've obviously felt more nerves in the playoffs, but I think we're gonna handle it better this season if it comes to that.
I respect that. Yeah, I mean, that is sort of all the questions we had lined up.
Nice. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun.
And we'll probably have you on, well, definitely actually, have you on at some point in the future as well, because it's been a really nice interview. On another team that's massively in contention will be Bappo. I don't feel we've touched on them too much. What do you think of Bappo this season even?
The only issue, I have kind of the same feeling about Bappa as I have with Brunk. I kind of feel that, of course, Hibba will carry, but I find him more dangerous as an all-out attacker, or like the outfield position he played before.
Mm.
And I kind of feel like Tweak and Strig aren't really as good as they were before. That's like the issue I have with them, but I still think they will finish second or third. And they play the classic park the bus style. So I kind of feel like they won't like it's a style that you don't really need to be very skilled for. Sorry, Strig and Tweak, you're great players.
I mean, Strig says himself he's not the most skillful. Tweak has got the skill set, and so has Hibber. But their play style is very much how it used to be when I played for them.
Yeah.
In terms of it's slow from the back and they look for that
Yeah.
crucial pass forward. They don't really need to be good on the puck. If they can control it and get a shot off early or dump it on net, yeah, that's where they get the success from. So, and I think with Hibbert at the back, he's just so calm. Like it's really hard to dispossess him. His passes are always almost perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see them. I'm not a massive fan of their style. I don't like how deep they play and how bumpy and kind of, I don't know. I don't really think it's so much a style. They're very annoying to get the puck from.
Yeah.
So,
And I
but
f-
it works.
and I feel as well like Bappo, for me, I don't think, obviously, as Rapid said, I don't think they'll finish first in the league, potentially second, third, or fourth. But I feel for me, with their style, they strike me as sort of a playoff team, as in when nerves are high in playoffs, sort of mechanical players are less good as they usually are when they're not nervous. And for me, like Bappo's style, it doesn't require that much sort of. I don't mean to say it's completely skillless, but it doesn't require as much mechanical skill as, say, enemy style. And for me, I feel like when the nerves are high, that very much favours Bappo. And for me, they're sort of a playoff team, a bit similar to Inferius. You know, they lost to Dump in the league. They lost to a few big teams in the league, but when it comes to playoffs, I feel as though it suits the style very well. And that's where they're going to be most dangerous, in my opinion.
See, I kind of, from playing with them last season, I kind of feel it's maybe the opposite. Like during the league was when we seemed to be at our strongest, but during the playoffs, it was almost like, I've watched the VODs back a few times. Just I like to see like the saves and the good plays that we do. But for me in the playoffs, we tend to not get as many goals. And there was when we played Trinity Force towards like the end of the game, there must have been about 8 or 9 clear cut shots 1-on-1 with the keeper or open up where I don't know if it was the pressure or if it was just simply and not lack of skill, but the air of being in the playoffs so close to that title was affecting their gameplay. But there was nowhere near as clinical towards when it really meant something.
So, like,
I
as someone who
definitely
played
feel
for them, do you feel like if we use your sort of inside knowledge, do you feel like the pressure does affect them a lot?
Yeah, so I think so, personally. I mean, it definitely did me. I suffered with it a lot when it got into the big games at the start because in Bappo I wasn't comfortable playing in the way I was not made to play, but the way I was playing. It started off where I had a lot of freedom to go forward and be really aggressive, but then I needed to kind of be back and be safe, and it just didn't really feel right. So my confidence was always knocked, and I think a lot of the problems that Strigg and Tweak had come from that they could feel my lack of confidence.
Yeah.
So obviously, when I'm not safe at the back, and they know that they're kind of having to worry about coming back and covering me, or know that shit, Crumps is coming out, probably going to be a mistake here. It affects their gameplay. Whereas from what I've seen, they don't have that with Hibber. They know regardless, Hibber's really not going to make many mistakes at the back at all. So they've got that freedom to play exactly how they want. Hibber's so safe. He doesn't really put a foot wrong. And like I said earlier, he can pass through the eye of a needle.
What do you think about that, Rapid? Do you agree?
I completely agree, but especially I don't think I've seen Hiba ever like have a major choke in a game or a playoff game.
No,
Like
never.
he's just so secure. He knows exactly what he's doing.
So I think stylistically, Hibber does suit that sort of system better.
Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. I was way too risky for Bappo. I like to play very fast, aggressive hockey. I like to try and play on the counters. I like to play dangerous passes, and Hibber and Tweak didn't really like that. They always, well, not always wanted, but they wanted the safe passes. That's how their game played. Speaking about fast-paced, aggressive hockey, we haven't touched upon enemy yet. So, what do you both think? Now that Kutsu, you've joined them, how do you think you guys are going to fare in the league with your new style of play?
Let Rapid take this one.
So first of all, I want to explain my decision to assign Kutsu instead of Gurkish. We really needed a goalie, and since Kutsu kind of has stepped into the role of being a goalkeeper and has done it really well in Cursed, we decided to go with Kutsu as our signing.
Not to mention that's where he started, right? Because you were goalkeeper by trade at the beginning of your career, right?
Yeah. Beginning my career, I started as a goalkeeper. Initially, I was going to play for Skorgasm in season 3 with Kua and Dromitos, but
Yeah, I
it fell
remember.
through due to some controversy. And then that's when a little bit after that's when I decided to transition into an attacker after speaking to Aloe. And I went from there really, and that sort of took off. But now back to the roots, I guess, and I'm enjoying it as well. Like the sort of freedom and creativity you get as a goalkeeper, it's very fun, and being the sort of playmaker of the team, it's enjoyable. And I think that in the scrim so far, the enemy have played really well. We do play that sort of free flowing, fast paced hockey, and teams can't seem to handle it right now.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hopefully get some casting and at least watch the games, because after being on the other end of the game when you're playing against enemy in scrims, it's just not fun. For somebody playing against you, it's incredibly hard to play, but it's also glorious to watch. Like, I always thought Prime Skorgasm from like season 3, I always thought Skorgasm was the best hockey I've ever thought, and I've thought that up until this point, until I started watching enemy play. Their style right now is, for me, the most glorious and by far the most spectator-friendly version of Slapshot we're going to see. So I'm super excited, and especially with seeing you at the back, I think you're very similar to Slider in terms of how you play. You pull off the same deeks. I think you're a better keeper than Slider in terms of your ability to make saves and your reactions. You're very quick off the mark. So I think I mean, I've not actually seen you play for enemy, but I'm definitely excited to see how it plays up with Rapid and Jefferson playing that forward role and you at the back. I think it's going to be explosive.
So I mean, I think we are a really strong team. We did some scrims yesterday, didn't we, Rapid? And
Yes.
I think
Combination.
what was the results?
We won like 22-3, 19-4 or something, and then like 30-2.
Okay, so I guess we move on to the new teams that have joined up, who are obviously going to be fighting for that playoff spot. We've got a couple of them. More than a couple. We see Underdogs coming up from entry, who won the playoffs, which I think personally Underdogs are one of my favorite teams. Apart from Lalish, Underdogs were one of the only teams from entry last season that I followed very, very closely. I'm good friends with I Am New, and I think they've got an incredible team with Sweatsy, who on his day is phenomenal. Eric, didn't see too much of him in terms of like early entry, but towards the end he really, 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 really showed up. So I think Underdogs personally out of the entries are going to be my favorite to come up and be a playoff contender.
I mean,
sorry, go on.
I agree that they're certainly in contention for playoffs, and I think Toby as well. It's a very, very interesting signing for them.
Oh, of course, yeah, they've got the new signing with Toby.
So I think obviously together, what would the starting lineup be? Would it be Toby, Sweatsy, and I Am New?
I don't know. I mean, I'd assume so. I don't think they quite want to push Eric out, but I definitely think that Toby's got the edge over playing as the front man.
Didn't Toby only want to be a sub? I don't
think
he wants to start.
Oh, really? Okay. That makes. I mean, I can't see them wanting to change their lineup too much.
Yeah.
Because they've got that chemistry that works very well together.
Yeah.
And with Sweatsy playing behind them both, behind Eric with his, we saw it from entry division, is insane.
Sweatsy to me is a really, really good player. He's very good basically at everything. The only issue I have with him is that he sometimes deeks as the last man and causes goals against them, but overall he's a great playmaker. Especially I played with him a lot in both pubs and pugs, and he's been really, really good. He's so fun to play with.
I really enjoy the hockey that Underdogs play, the style that they're having. I really like the style Sweatsy has as well, in that he prioritizes team play most of the time, and he's a good passer, a very good passer. And I know you guys will disagree, but for me, I feel that Sweatsy is slightly overrated in terms of, I feel the transition to pro. Well, not the transition to pro because it's kind of easier this season, but like against the sort of top 4, top 5 teams, maybe top 3. I feel that Sweatsy might be a little bit quiet this season. Like, my prediction will be against the top 3, top 4. I feel that Sweatsy's going to be he's going to struggle. Or he's not going to be as standout as he was in a lot of the other games.
I just can't help but disagree. I mean, he's one of the only entry players that play with such maturity in terms of he knows exactly when to drop the puck away. He knows exactly when to move, where to make space. Like, I'm curious to know which parts of the game that you don't think are quite there. Because as you know, I agree with Rapid. From watching him and seeing him playing pugs, I don't play many publics, but from the pugs I do play, he's really good at what he does. I think, in my opinion, apart from Morvey, he's absolutely the best entry player that we've seen. And I think he could drop into any of the pro teams, similar like Latka did with Inferiors last season, and just be phenomenal. You know, I've seen him play. I played against him in pugs when he's played with players like Slider and Rapid, or Slider and Jefferson in something, and he's absolutely disgusting what he can do. I think he'd thrive in a much more skilled environment. But anyway, back to I want to know what you think about him that isn't there.
He's
I'm
quite
really curious.
It's a difficult one to explain. I mean, for me, I don't think he's sort of on the level of the Latkas and players like that. Even Slog, I feel like he'd be good against the sort of worst players, but against the top players, I feel like, I don't know, like his game's just kind of slow. I feel like he's slow. Like when Golg played in attack, I mean, Golg did have good passing, and decent sort of vision, which I think Sweatsy does have. But for me, I feel like he's a bit slow, and the sort of stereotype, the sort of saying that's often said is that, you know, they play fat, they look like they're fat on the rink, and I feel like for me, Sweatsy's similar to that. And I think with the sort of intensity and pressure from teams like Bappo, Enemy, Netsticks and Chill, Lalish, I feel like Sweatsy will get caught in possession and struggle more than people are expecting for me.
I think what you've got to take away from that, he might be slow, but he again really doesn't really misplay many passes. He might be slow, but he's really clinical. Similar to like Hibber, just not as good.
Yeah, a budget Hibber.
Yeah, for sure.
I do know what you mean by that, to be fair. And like, yeah, I know what you mean with the comparisons with Hibber for sure. And I get, if he can reach that heights, then I would love to see it. And I think, you know, he seems like a good lad, and I wish him the best. But for me, I don't think he's on the level that most people see him at currently. But I know that is definitely an unpopular opinion.
I look forward to him proving you wrong this season in the later episodes of the Slappycast.
It will be nice looking back on this, won't it, to see how it's progressed. On a separate note from underdogs, obviously we want to speak about other teams in contention. Wildcard are an interesting team, and I think one of the players that I do want to touch on would be Jamal. What do you guys think of him?
My opinion, he's not the most skilled player mechanically, but I find him very easy to play with in both pugs and when he was in April for a while. He's just he's always in the right position, and me and him meshed really, really well.
I think if I could choose one word to describe Jamal from what I've seen, like his rise from never playing the game to now, I think he's very adaptable.
Yeah.
The guy
Definitely.
kind of is always in the right position. Like you said, he might not be the most skilled and the most clinical, but he gives 110%. Wherever you need a pass to be, he'll be there. You know, he drops back and defends as much as he can. He scores some ridiculous goals when he wants to. I think he's going to be one of the ones that are going to shine out. Like, I don't think people are going to expect much of him, but I think people are going to be surprised by how well, even if they don't see it in the game, statistically, I think he's going to do really, really well this season.
I've not seen a player as active and improve as fast as Jamal since sort of Hibber sort of burst onto the scene and was extremely active, never stopped playing pugs. And Jamal sort of had that, especially early days. I never saw him not in pugs. And for me, as you said, he's so adaptable. I think if I had to name the sort of highest potential player right now, I'd probably go with Jamal, to be honest. I really like the guy. He's a hard worker, he's a grinder. And for me, I'm looking forward to seeing him play. Another team that could be in contention would be Cleanup Crew. They're decent on the rink. Off the rink, questionable. But on the rink, what do we think of them? I think we should start with Crumps on this one.
I think Den is a really good player. I didn't get to see much of Exitos, but I do think he has the potential to be a quality player. He was before I came onto the scene and casted, but I always remember seeing him in pugs and he was great then. The little cameos that he had towards the end of last season, where he played with Jefferson, was really good. He made the right plays. So I think the weak link massively is Speed, because he hasn't played much, and from the scrims that I've seen against him, I don't think he's anywhere near the level of both Exitos and Denny. So I think they're probably going to see a downfall there.
Yeah.
But I definitely think they're going to be a good team. I definitely think they're going to show up against at least like the middle two playoff kind of bracket. I personally don't think they'll make it to playoffs because of the other teams that are in there, but I definitely think they have a chance for sure.
So would you say the star player in that team is, well, the best player in that team currently is Denny?
100%.
What do you think, Rapid?
I think he's by far the best player, especially looking at last season where Yukatsu and Denny completely dominated in offense. I think he's really, really solid. Like, he's great. His positioning is great. His shooting is fantastic. Maybe he doesn't pass a lot, at least to me. I don't know if he does it to you guys. And I kind of feel like he lacks a bit in defense and gets quite nervous in playoffs.
Yeah.
Those are like his biggest weaknesses, according to me at least.
Yeah, I think really highly of Denny. My season with him, he took criticism actually really well, which I think might surprise some people, because Denny is very much a controversial character. But the whole season with him, really, I really enjoyed him as a player, as a person as well. I enjoyed his company, and like I think really highly of Denny. I think he doesn't deserve. He's been a season 1, season 2, season 3, 4, and 5 participant. Never got a medal. I think he deserves one, and I hope he gets one this season, because he definitely is good enough for one. He deserves one, and I think he's by far the best player in that team. For me, I think Speed and Exitos are. Well, Exitos is washed. I think he used to be pretty good, but not anymore. And I don't think Speed can be washed because he was never good in the first place. But yeah, I feel like there's a possibility for playoffs, but I can't see it personally.
Now, one of my favourite teams, who I think are just going to be a bundle of fun in the contention, I guess, for the playoffs, is the new Yuri team. I played against them in a couple of scrims. They were hilarious. I'm pretty sure they beat us in one scrim. It's kind of like an evolved version of the Eggheads, with Ben Bobster bringing in Crow and Bubbles to play together.
Yeah.
But there's something about them. They've got this. They kind of don't really do all that much. There's not really much deking or dangling, whatever. But they just seem to work. Like, they have this system which just does things. Passes spray across and shots go in from ridiculous angles. But I don't think they're going to be playoff worthy. But I definitely think they're going to be a really exciting team to see. They're going to take down some big names, I reckon.
I
Definitely.
feel like they are a team that will be very uneven. For example, they lost against Snooze yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have a big chance of upsetting some teams, but especially Crow and Ben Bobster aren't really available a lot of time. So I don't think they have scrimmed like a lot either. So I kind of feel like they will be very uneven. You will never know like which Yuri he will get.
Yeah. Is that pretty much every team that we think is in contention for playoffs, but not in contention for gold?
No, there's one
Actually,
team that we've
yeah.
scrimmed a fair bit with Netflix, and I think they're much more improved than last season, and that's Aries. I think Aries from last season, they're a weird team, and we've spoke about this amongst voice chat. Molten and Scowen have both got really good hands. They really do find space, and they get good shots off. But they never seem to. I don't know. They kind of don't have an identity on the field. They're never really in many good positions. They have like bursts of really good play, but I think that stems from the back with them. I think Oception sits really, really far out from his goal and makes it quite hard for their own team to defend, because they hold such a high line and they don't really have anywhere. But they seem to be working on that since we've played them, and I think they're going to upset a lot of teams this season from what I've seen.
But moving on anyway from that topic, we've got who do you think are the dark horses for next season, off of this season even, and this can include teams and players. I guess we'll start with Crumps on that.
I don't know. This is really difficult because
Yeah.
the standard has raised so much over the past like season and a half that I don't. For me, it was probably the only person that comes to mind who we spoke about earlier. It's just Jamal.
Yeah.
It's the only player I can confidently say I think is just going to fly onto the scene and just put work in all season. And I think it'll surprise a lot of people. Like, you know, he's in with the pros amongst the top players. He's played with a lot of them. He's friends with them. So I know they know who he is, but I don't think they quite realize the effects that he might have on the league.
So my dark horse for this season is actually Kutsu himself, the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh.
So, like, I don't know if I even can count him as a dark horse since he's already really good at the game.
You've seen the videos. He's pale as fuck.
Whoa.
Whoa. No, but I actually think in the scrims we played in the last 3-4 days, he's been really, really good. I'm talking like slider class on him right now. He's really hit form, and I think he's not. I think he has the potential to be a goalkeeper as good as Slider, in my opinion, and I think we will see that during the season too.
Oh, that's really made me happy that as rapid. I mean,
I do kind of agree. I always rated you as an outfield player. I always thought you was quality. You needed the right players around you to bring out them qualities.
Yes,
but I
yes,
also
yes,
think
yes.
that the way you cover yourself up at the back is where I always thought you were best. Like, I think your best asset is your passing and playmaking without a doubt. You know, from times I played with you or against you. But
Yeah.
I think now that you're sitting at the back of that deeper role, being able to recover the puck well, and you know you can deke and dangle yourself out of dangerous situations, and you're gonna have Rapid and Jefferson who make probably the two best players in the league at making space to enable a pass and to quickly
Yeah.
move it on. I definitely think people are going to have a completely different opinion of you so long as you stay, I guess, high in confidence and consistent.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate it because I don't want to, you know, I like to try and remain humble publicly, but like I feel obviously with Jefferson and Rapid as a goalkeeper you have it so fucking easy because they're that good that like you as long as you can pass you're safe. Like I barely have to make any saves in the game because we're too busy just scoring at the other end and I don't even have to do anything for that. And I feel like my play style as well as a goalkeeper suits them. They hold a very high line, and like as you said, they're the best at like making space for passes. And I think I do very hard passes, and some people who sit too deep never really get on the end of them. And it usually seems like they're misplaced passes, but usually they're intentional. But they only work with certain players, and I think the players they work with best would be the likes of sort of Jefferson and Rapid. So I'm very excited for the season. And I do hope people see me in a higher regard at the end of it.
Okay, all right. Best free agents. Now then.
Ooh.
There's not that many that I can see who I really think much of, but the first one we've got on the list here is one that I absolutely agree with, and I find him an absolute nightmare to play against when he's on his game, and that's Omar. I think Omar has, again, really good potential. He's really good at reading the game, and the amount of pressure he puts on anybody who sits deep. So the goalkeepers, and whether it's just me, I might just be got awful, but I am pretty awful. But
That's
Omar,
credit to me and Kutsu.
We'll touch upon that.
Yeah.
On the way he pressures goalkeepers at the back, and you can see that. I mean, yeah, you're going to touch up on it, but no, you mention it. It does make sense with having you two kind of coaching him into that because you both hound just as much. But I think he's going to be an incredible player in the season if people pick him up. I think people really, if they need somebody, need to look at that. You know, if they need a quality kind of box to box grinder, as you put it, Kutsu. I think Omar for me is probably one of the best, if not the best, free agent that's in there.
And touching on what you said about the pressure thing, you know, it brings a big smile to my face, that does, because it's one of the things that at the start of last season, or when Ape Grip initially formed, believe it or not, Omar Omar's pressuring was some of the worst I've ever seen. In that he would, it's impossible to explain. He would move forward and then he would just stop and just give the goalie so much room. And we worked tirelessly to sort that.
We have the famous clip of Kutsus screaming, "Omar, stop stopping!"
We'll roll that clip. We'll roll it.
Where's Saf, man? Omar, stop stopping! Omar, come round this side! Right, thank you.
Other free agents that we've got down, another one here of interest could be Toastian. For me, I think he's a really good player, he's an intelligent player, but I don't like the sort of mentality of he wants to be in a team that sort of suits him perfectly and he's the perfect team. Because I feel he's not played for seasons now, and he's not going to get the offer from sort of the Bappos, and I think he wanted to play with Inferius or Bappo last season, and he didn't give anyone else sort of consideration. And for me, I think even if you believe that you're better than the team you're in, you should still play in there and stick with it and prove what you're about, prove that you're the better player, best player in that team, and then the big teams will want to pick you up and give you the chance. But for me, I feel like Toast, he holds himself in a high regard, which I respect. I like players with confidence. You hold yourself in a high regard, that's a good thing for me. But I feel you shouldn't let that, if there's no other offers on the table, I think you should always play for a team regardless, even if you feel that you're better than that team. And you should go in there, prove what you're about, and then wait for the offers to come. Which I feel even I've done on a couple of kits. I don't think I was better than TR. I think TR was a really good team. Denny was great, Crooked was great. But TR was sort of a stepping stone onto greater things, which now I'm in Enemy, which is potentially one of the most dominant teams in the league. And I feel like sometimes you need to take a step backwards to take 3 steps forward. And I feel like Toast isn't willing to take that first step backwards to sort of get the big offers.
It's similar to what happened to me. You know, I mean, how much did I hound both of you to get into Black Ice? It was pretty much every day. I was spamming you to let me in because I just knew that that's what I needed and that's what I wanted. And then from then, I kind of did the same thing, went down to a team because I didn't want to play as seriously, and then got the option to play with Bappo. So you kind of got to be in it to win it. Like, I've always had a different mentality. I always think I've got the potential to do it. I just don't have the mentality to do it. To be like a top player. And I think Toast kind of needs to reevaluate that if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Maybe just have fun with I mean, it's too late now because I'm assuming this is going to be the last Slap One season. But I think if he picked up one of the smaller teams and just stuck with it and played, he could have got there. But it doesn't invest nowhere near enough time to even get close to it.
He's a very interesting player because he has great game IQ, but he doesn't really have the mechanical skill to back it up. So I find he's like the only player I can think of that has like some fantastic game IQ, but just isn't like he can't do what he wants to because he's just bad mechanically, basically.
Yeah, it's like his brain is ahead of his.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got another topic to cover here. This one was actually requested to us by Hibber, a loyal fan of the show. Our opinion on the 4v4 format in Rebound. I think Crumps, you might have a lot to say about this, so I'll let you take the stage.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just it needs to happen. In a game like Rebound, where it's going to be a way more of a skill ceiling, and there's just too much space for 3v3 to make sense for me. I don't think it'll happen because I'm pretty sure Ev and the NA gang want it to stay for 3v3, so you've got more space. But for me, I don't play for the deeks and the fancy. I'm much more about positioning and passing. I like quick passes. I like movement. And 4v4 makes the game way more kind of crucial in terms of the goals that need to be scored and way more vital. In 3v3, it opens up too much space where you get scorelines, like you said, you were beating teams 30 against 2 or whatever. In a 4v4 format, we won't see that. The games will be way more intense. They'll be much more structured. You'll be able to organize real strategies with how to attack and, as you would in normal hockey. And I just think it's a better viewing experience. I think it's going to be way more interesting than like the same stuff we see now of just one person dangles some guy on the edge and then it's a shot. We're used to seeing that. I think we need a switch up of higher octane, higher skill play personally. And that's why I'm a massive advocate of the 4v4 format being brought to Rebound.
for me, with 4v4, I feel in an ideal world where every player plays intelligent positional hockey, or slapshot, I feel as though it could work. But I think when you sort of come back down to reality and you think of how a lot of the games will look, and there's factors to it in that. So say you've got one pro player, say you've got Jefferson, and then he's in a team full of Penguins. You will see like the impact Jefferson can have on that game is so little, because say you've just got all the Penguins swarming, chasing the puck. There's so many people on the rink at once. I feel even as a significantly better player, because it's so like saturated and there's so many players and so much going on. For me, I feel like it just wouldn't work very well. And again, when you've only got the best players, so say you take 8 of the best players in the league, I think 4v4 would be great. But when you sort of think of it's a small community, the variety of skill sets, I don't think it would work too well. In that, you know, people who chase the puck, people who can't position themselves well, would just make it not a nice viewing experience. And for me, so it would be nice maybe as like, you know, a secondary tournament, the thing that you were going to host, Crumps, where you took the best players. I think that would be really fun and a good idea. But for me, the standard league format, in my opinion, should be 3v3.
The issue, I haven't really tried out 4v4, and I haven't really thought about this like a lot, like the subject. But in my opinion, I think 3v3s is better. I can't really explain why, but it's probably because I like a lot of open space, like doing deeks.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
So it limits me when we play 4v4.
I feel like you're more
Compared
limited in
to
what you can do as an
3v3s.
individual when there's
Yeah,
more
you are,
players.
absolutely. Yeah. It's heavily based on 4v4. You're going to have to learn how to first time pass almost every time. Plenty of first time shots. You're going to have to be way better at kind of standing still, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so you need to get in the positions and hold that position and then release the puck early, or, you know, some good players you'll be able to deke and dangle, but overall it's massively team-based oriented, whereas 3v3 is very much individual at the moment. And moving into this season, we're introducing a new system to categorize players based on their performances, and we're going to host it on the EUSL, and we're going to call it the Slapon D'or. Each week, me, Rapid, and Kutsu will be picking 3-star players. Is that one each, I'm assuming, Kutsu? That's right? We pick a star player each?
Yes,
or is it 3 on each? Yeah, so we're each going to pick a player we think has been the star player for the week, and each of those players will get points based on our votes. So the first place will obviously get the 5 points, which is higher. Second place will get 3 points, and the third place will get a point. That will all be tallied up towards the end of the season, and based on who has accumulated the most points at the end of the season, will be nominated the Slapon D'or and given a special award, which we're hoping to get implemented on the Slapshot EUSL Discord, to, I guess, just a way to show off that you were voted the most consistent, the most readily available, the best all-round player in the EUSL Season 5.
6, yeah.
7.
8,
9, 10, 6, 5.
But yeah, that does conclude the first episode of the EUSL Slappycast. We have been filming now for a total of 1 hour and 23 minutes. It'll probably be a little bit more condensed on the released episode.
Hope so.
But if you have made it this far, hats off to you. Respect, and thank you for sort of, coming along with us in this journey. And have you guys got anything to say to the loyal fans?
I'd just like to point out that because this is something new for us all, with us all three, well, it's not new to Kutsu, but it's new to me and Rapid joining Kutsu on this together. Please leave any feedback or suggestions as ways to improve the podcast, or things that you'd like to hear from us in the future, so that we can make it a much more pleasurable experience for you all. Other than that, thanks for stopping by and watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye.